Today's episode may have some content that is disturbing for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back to another episode of Bloodstained Backstories. I'm your host, Jace.
And I'm your host, Summer. What could possibly drive a husband and father to murder his pregnant wife and two beautiful daughters? A family man who, to the outside world, loved and adored his family. What could be so wrong that one would have to resort to murder? It makes no sense. There are always answers less drastic than murdering your pregnant wife and two children.
And this is the story of Chris Watts, his pregnant wife Shannon Watts, and their two children, Bella Watts, who was 4, and Celeste Watts, who was 3. Christopher Watts and Shannon Rizek were both from North Carolina. They met in 2010 and were married on November 3rd, 2012. The couple had two children, both daughters, Bella and Celeste. Shannon was 15 weeks pregnant with their third child, a boy.
The Watts family lived in a beautiful 5-bedroom home in Colorado. They had purchased the home in 2013. In 2015, the couple declared bankruptcy. Chris worked for Anadarko Petroleum, and Shannon was a stay-at-home mom who worked from home selling the product called Thrive.
Shannon had taken a business trip for the company that she worked for and returned home at approximately 1:48 a.m. on Monday, August 13, 2018. Her friend Nicole Atkinson drove her home. Later in the day, Nicole reported Shannon and the girls missing. When she became concerned after Shannon missed a scheduled OBGYN appointment, plus failed to return Nicole's text messages. Shannon then missed a business meeting, so Nicole went to the Watts' home at around 12:10 p.m. She rang the doorbell, knocked on the door, and no one answered. Nicole notified Chris at work and called the Frederick Police Department.
Honestly speaking, that's a really good friend to act that quickly. I would have just assumed after getting home so early in the morning that she overslept, missed her appointment, was busy doing errands after being away for a few days. Let's face it was only about 11 hours or so since she had dropped her off. A Frederick police officer arrived to conduct a welfare check at about 1:40 p.m. During the check, Chris gave the officer his permission to search the house. There was no signs of Shannon or the two girls, but the family dog was discovered unharmed. Searchers did find Shannon's purse, which contained her keys and her medicine, in the house. Her cell phone was found between the couch cushions. Her car, which had the girls' car seats, was in the garage, and her wedding ring was found on the bedside table.
The FBI and Colorado Bureau of Investigation joined in on the investigation the next day. Chris told police that he had no idea where his family might be and that he had not seen his wife since 5:15 the previous day when he left for work. He gave interviews to two Denver stations outside the house pleading for the return of his wife and daughters. During the interviews, search dogs could be heard in the background.
On August 15, 2018, the FBI joined the search for Shannon and the girls. Chris took a polygraph test, which he failed. He then confessed to his father and then the authorities that he had killed his wife. He falsely claimed that he killed her because she had smothered their two daughters. Chris went on to claim that he discovered Bella's corpse and then he found Shannon in the act of strangling Celeste. He stated that in a fit of rage, he strangled Shannon and then disposed of their bodies at an Anadarko oil field where he worked. Chris was arrested that day.
When investigators showed Chris a photograph of the oil field, he marked the locations for them. Investigators arrived there on August 16th at about 11 p.m. Chris had smothered his daughters with his bare hands, and they were each found in different oil tanks. Their bodies had been pushed through the hatch at the top of the tanks. The lid had an opening of only about 8 inches in diameter. The medical examiner said that Bella had scratches on her buttocks from being shoved through that small opening. A tuft of blonde hair was found on the edge of one of the hatches. Shannon's body was found buried in a shallow grave on the property.
On August 21st, Chris was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, including an additional 1 count per child cited as death of a child who had not attained 12 years of age, and the defendant was in the position of trust. He was also charged with the unlawful termination of a pregnancy and 3 counts of tampering with a deceased body. Bail was set at $5 million, with the requirement of 15% down in order for him to be released.
On November 29th, Colorado authorities released surveillance footage which was captured in the early morning hours of August 13th. A neighbor's security camera had caught this footage. The footage showed Chris, hours after he killed his wife, his baby unborn, and the daughters, putting a gas can in the bed of his own truck. He then backed his truck into the garage, and police believe that he was loading the bodies into the truck of the garage to transport them to the remote oil work site where they would be later discovered. The footage was captured shortly after Shannon was seen on the other footage returning home from the business trip. This provided that Shannon and the girls never left home like Chris claimed they did to the police.
In the media, this case had been connected to the crime of family annihilation, which is when an individual kills multiple close family members in quick succession. Usually the killer then kills himself in a murder-suicide. Many of this type of crime occurs in August before school starts, which delays detection and investigation. Chris claimed to have contemplated suicide out of the guilt of his actions.
Chris's lawyer did an interview with Dr. Phil where he claimed that Chris confessed to the killing of Shannon after they had an argument regarding a divorce. Bella walked in during the murder and Chris told her that Shannon was sick. He loaded Shannon's body and the girls without their car seats into the back of his work truck. He later smothered the girls one after the other.
Authorities learned that Chris was having an affair with Nicole Kessinger, who worked at the same company he did.
Let this be a valuable lesson to all that the truth always eventually comes out. After the truth comes out, chances are the women wouldn't want you anyways after you killed your family.
Nicole told authorities that she was under the assumption that Chris was going through an amicable divorce.
They always say they're going through a divorce. If they cannot show you the divorce papers, then insist on meeting their ex. If they do not allow you to do that, then don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Chris pleaded guilty to the murders on November 6th. Shannon's family requested that the death penalty not be put forward as they did not wish for any further deaths. They supported him in his decision to accept the plea deal. On November 19th, Chris was sentenced to 5 life sentences, 3 consecutive and 2 concurrent, without the possibility of parole. He also received an additional 48 years for unlawful termination of Shannon's pregnancy and 36 years for 3 charges of tampering with the deceased body. His sentence began immediately.
On December 3rd, 2018, Chris was moved out of the state location due to security concerns. He was moved to Dodge Correctional Institute in Wisconsin to continue serving his sentences. On March 7, 2019, a video of Chris's full confession, which had provided to the investigators in February, was made public. In the video, he told investigators that on the night of the murders, he jumped on Shannon in bed after he told her that he didn't love her anymore. He claimed that she threatened to leave him and take the children.
What do you expect? That she would say, oh, let's have a party? Of course she would say she was going to leave him and take the kids. You tell her you don't love her anymore. What do you expect? Chris then drove the 45 minutes to the remote oil field with Shannon's corpse in the bed of the truck and the girls still alive in the back seat. He claimed he murdered Celeste and then buried Shannon in a shallow grave. After he buried Shannon, he dumped Celeste's body in an oil field and he returned to smother Bella. Bella begged for her life. She screamed, "Daddy, no!" And that was the last words she spoke.
I hope every time that he closes his eyes, he hears that little girl's voice saying, "Daddy, no."
Me too.
Chris's life in jail is not very stimulating. He gets out of his cell for an hour a day for showers and exercise. He is allowed the Bible, but not much more. Chris has spent a lot of time thinking since he has so much free time, and he says he wishes he'd done things differently.
Like what? Not murdering his entire family and unborn child?
He is sad that everyone is hurting. A source who speaks regularly with Chris said that Chris is ostracized by inmates and guard. No one wants anything to do with him. Socially, he's on the lowest tier of the entire prison.
Can you blame them? Who wants to associate with that monster?
He is in protective custody because of being around with other inmates would put him in real danger. He is probably the most hated man in prison because he killed children.
In 2019, Chris agreed to pay $6 million to Shannon's parents, but it is unlikely they will ever see any of that money. They filed a suit to prevent Chris from profiting from the deaths should he decide to write a book or sell the rights to his sordid story. The figure includes $1 million for each of the deaths and $3 million for emotional pain. The amount owed will grow at an 8% interest rate each year.
Now, about the Watts' family home. The Watts purchased their home in May 2013 for just under $400,000. The house has a 3-car garage with an open floor plan, a chef's kitchen, and granite countertops and double oven. The huge family room has a cozy gas fireplace, as does the primary suite, which also features a tray ceiling, large bedrooms, walk-in closet, and folding table. The home is pre-wired for surround sound and had a new roof put in 2013. Outside there is a covered front porch and back deck. The family would live in this home for 5 years.
After the murders, the house was put in foreclosure. The house did not sell under foreclosure, so the bank took it off of foreclosure, which transferred the ownership back to Chris Watts. Shannon's parents put a lien on the house to stop Chris from being able to profit from the sale, and the Homeowners Association put a lien on the house for a few thousand for back association fees. When the house was sold the first time, Shannon's parents received an undisclosed amount after all fees were paid. Well, at least they got some of their money back that he owes them. Since the murders, the home has been sold 2 times. First, in 2022, it sold for $600,000 to a buyer who had it for less than 2 years. It was put back on the market in April 2024 with the elevated price of $775,000. The price was cut several times before dropping to $699,000. It finally sold on October 17, 1924 for $650,000. There was also a life insurance policy on Shannon and the 2 girls through Chris's job. Shannon's parents received $375,000 from that. Shannon's brother took the family dog and now has him.
Thank you for tuning in to Bloodstained Backstories. Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated, share your thoughts, and connect with fellow true crime enthusiasts. You can catch us anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your go-to platform. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Join us next week as we uncover another chilling case. Until then, stay safe and stay curious.